It's terrible.
Have a seat.
Have a seat?
Have a seat.
What? You mean you're going to sit at that desk and then...
And they're gone.
What a shame.
First of all, welcome home.
To Las Vegas?
Welcome home to the USA. Because you just got back from filming.
Oh, yes.
Season 2, better late than never.
I did.
Where did you go?
Well, we went to 5 countries and 6 cities in a period of 40 days. It was grueling. I flew from Los Angeles to Munich and spent 4 or 5 days there. And then I have a charity horse show that I do called the Hollywood Charity Horse Show. And sponsored by Priceline.com and Wells Fargo.
It's such a pitch man.
Well, I have to because, first of all, they're great companies. They give money to charity, especially to the Hollywood Charity Horse Show. So I flew to Munich, and then the horse show was on during that weekend that I was supposed to be in Munich, but I had told the producers I needed to come back. So I got on an airplane on a Thursday, and I got back late Thursday afternoon, and I raised money for the charities that we're doing, and competed in the horse show, and then on Sunday night flew to San Antonio, spoke to people Monday morning, and then got on an airplane Monday afternoon, flew to Berlin, and continued on. From Berlin, we went to Lithuania. And one of the things they were doing was looking for our ancestors, where we came from. My mother came from a small village outside of Vilnius, Lithuania, so we went to Lithuania.
What's that like?
Well, the Lithuanians had, 20 years ago, had what they called the singing revolution. The Russians had come in and out, the Nazis had come in and out. They were pummeled and overridden decade after decade. The whole Baltic area was a war ground. And even in the Middle Ages, there was, Lithuania had a partnership with Poland, and they went in, and I mean, the whole area is filled with strife and tribal and geopolitical. But 20 years ago, they had their independence, Lithuania, and then the Russians marched in. And the one television station in Lithuania was the means of communication. So the Lithuanians, the young college students, the young people, surrounded the TV station, thousands of kids, singing, I don't know, we shall overcome or something, I don't know. And they stood with their bodies in defiance of the Soviets, who ran over them with tanks. And our guide was a young lady, was a middle-aged lady, who 20 years prior to that had been going to college, was describing this fear that she had, and she was still crying. But because of that defiance, because of their ability to lay down their lives, literally, the Russians left. While we were shooting there was a high wind warning, a siren. And everybody got nervous. And the Lithuanians in the company said, don't worry, it's not the Russians. They're always looking over their shoulder, what's coming. And Lithuania and the terrible history they had there, but it's a great, Vilnius is a great destination. It's a wonderful tourist place and all kinds of history. We got to Sweden. I took fermented herring that is a delicacy among the Swedes, among 5% of the Swedes. The other 95% said, my God, this is fermented herring. It comes in a can that is ready to blow because of the gas inside. And when the 5 of us are seated around a table and we opened the can, the juice squirted over everybody. And I don't know if you've ever been in contact with a dead body of any kind. A dead body that's rotting. A dead body that has maggots.
Not that I know of.
A dead body that is juicy. That's what this herring smelled like. Terry Bradshaw, 4 rings. Got up and screamed like a baby.
You got that on camera.
And I ran after him with a smelly piece of herring. And then we went to Spain, and then Morocco, Marrakesh, where I rode a camel in the desert, in the Sahara.
Riding a camel versus riding a horse.
Well, riding a horse as well. But I rode a camel in the Sahara with a burnous. I'm told that, what's his name in,
Peter O'Toole.
Peter O'Toole, thank you so much. It's so
Pleasure. Lawrence of
that
Arabia.
Peter O'Toole, in order to ride a camel in that famous scene where you run the camel, everybody gallops down this wadi, he got totally drunk. So when you see him in the movie
Lawrence of Arabia.
Lawrence of Arabia, and he's got these robes and he's swaying in the saddle, and it looks like, oh my God, the guy's incredible. He's totally drunk out of his mind. I didn't do that, but the camel does not compare to a horse. So when the Bedouin tribes would move along the desert, they had the camel, but they also had the Arabian horse, the foundation of so many breeds, the Arabian horse. Bred to be beautiful, bred to be to run long distance, to have endurance, bred to go along the efficient stride along the desert, bred to be so humanized that the Arabs would bring the horse into the tent as part of the family. I don't know what they do when the horse pooped, but maybe as Arabic kids would poop anyway, they got used to the fact that pooping in the tent is good.
It's normal.
Normal. Poop in the tent, it's okay. We'll take the rug outside.
27. That is 27 horse shows.
No, actually it's 30 horse shows.
30.
30 years ago. I'm at a horse show in Los Angeles, in this equestrian center in Los Angeles. It's a horse show. And the people say, we're stopping the horse show. We can't do it anymore, we're tired. And at that moment, there was a horse with a child on the horse, a person on either side, 2 people helping the child, a person holding the horse. Very labor intensive. The child on the horse was a thalidomide baby. You'll all forget that, except the older members of the audience will remember that thalidomide was a pill given to pregnant women to stop them from nausea, if I remember correctly. The FDA did not approve it, so it wasn't prevalent, although it was used, wasn't prevalent in the United States. What nobody knew until after the pregnant woman took the pill was that it affected the fetus. And handicapped kids, children with terrible things wrong, came into life. This child had no arms and only 1 leg. She held the reins with her toes. Most beautiful young lady you can imagine. Bravery beyond belief. This is 30 years ago. I don't know where she is now, but she's got to be doing something important because this child had such courage. And I started to weep, and I said, you can't close the show, and I took over the show as a result of helping children with horse therapy. The Hollywood Charity Horse Show has raised millions of dollars to help children and now veterans who have this illness. I didn't mean to tell you all that. I mean, it sounds like an appeal, and it is. Horseshow.org, if you care to give $1 or something.
But also, you've taken your lifelong passion, your crusade for horses and for your charity, and you wrote a book this year.
Well, yes, one of several books. They keep coming, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Like Waves in the Ocean. A book by Shatner. So this, right now, as we speak out there, is a book called Spirit of the Horse, in which I try to explain, extend, dramatize, communicate the joy of horses, what horses can bring to us, other than as transportation or of one kind or another. And they made the West, and we know that the use of horses all through the ages. But now that we have internal combustion engines and electric engines and all, horse is now not the workhorse that it once was. But there is something about the horse's spirit and soul, and it may be just that. A horse is a prey animal, and its intuition, fashioned over millions of years, is, I better stay in the moment. I'm not going to think about yesterday. I'm not going to think about tomorrow, because that distraction may result in my death. I'm going to be in the here and the now, in the moment. And actually, what else do we control but here and now? And that's a lesson that the horse teaches all of us, including the people who need help using the horse as therapy. That's what, in essence, the horse is teaching all of us. So this book, Spirit of the Horse, I describe my experiences, some of my experiences, and I use other authors who describe what they've done, how the horse has affected them as well. And in one of the book buying outlets, usually Amazon actually, they'll give 3 stars, 4 stars. I'll buy up any book that's 4.5 stars. My book got 5 stars.
Congratulations, fantastic. And because you have, like you said, another book by Shatner, you have another one coming out next year.
Well, Zero G is a science fiction novel, which it's fun read. You should read it. And the sequel to it is coming out shortly in the fall. Yeah. And I'm just finishing up a book on aging. We're not sure what we're. Actually, I am sure. I've just named it. Yeah, you're the first to hear it. Live long and ... And he lives. It's a good title, isn't it?
It's a great title.
Because I don't know what I can offer. I can't make you rich, but I can only offer. The premise of the book is nobody can tell anybody to do anything. I mean, we really don't know. We're all locked in our heads, and we all have our own opinions and our own experiences. I can't tell you what to do. All I can say to you is, this is what I do. It's worked for me, maybe it'll work for you.
Well, that's good advice, it's good wisdom.
Yeah.
And that's perfect, because the title of the book is Live Long and ... That's a great transition to what I would like to talk to you about, which is Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
Now listen, when you watch like for those of us who have sort of seen these episodes over and over again, when you're watching the first few episodes of the first season, you can tell that everyone is still finding their way. That like Leonard is still trying to figure out how to play Spock. The lighting, the pacing of the show, but what always fascinated me, no pun intended here, is when you watch your first pilot, the one that you did, Where No Man's Gone Before. The look of the show is different. Obviously, Leonard looks very different as Spock. McCoy isn't even in it. But from Act 1, Scene 1 of that show, you had Kirk down. You had him down.
Well, my training as an actor, I started performing as a child. And I hear myself say this every so often, so I get slightly nauseated when I say it again. I've never done anything else. I've only been in front of an audience as an actor, or writing, or directing, or producing, or playing the fool. I play the fool a lot. But I was an experienced actor. I mean, years, decades of experience. And I'd been I'd been an actor at the Stratford Festival in Ontario, Canada, which was lauded, I think even now, but certainly then, lauded as the finest classical company in North America. And in fact, we took Shakespeare to the English Isles on a certain festival, and we brought it down to New York, a play by Marlowe, which is akin to Shakespeare. They think maybe Marlowe was Shakespeare. So there was a relationship. So I was a trained classical actor. And the thing about heroes in Shakespeare is they're noble, they're kings. They stand in a certain way, they speak. And a phrase somewhere had occurred to me. It's called, the phrase I heard was the look of eagles. So that you're always looking either to the horizon to see whether the enemy is coming, or looking into the future, or there's something about being a hero that puts your shoulders back. So when I came to Star Trek, and I said to
James Goldstone?
No!
Gene Roddenberry.
Gene Roddenberry. When I said to Roddenberry, well, who is he? What is it? He said, read the books of Horatio Hornblower, or Horatio Hornblower, as we call him. Horatio Hornblower was a series of books written by Forrester, and I read them, and he was just an ordinary captain there, but he had his eye on the horizon, because in those days they didn't know whether a strange animal would swallow the ship. And Captain Kirk had the same problem, didn't he? Come to think of it. I wonder if there's a strange animal that's going to swallow the Enterprise. So I played it like a classical hero, and that gave me a little advantage on other people.
But here's, like, again, the training, the Shakespearean training that you had, the stage training, the Broadway, when it wasn't just you were playing Kirk, like you, from early on, you had chances on that show to really stretch your range, even just playing Kirk. I'll spare you the episode titles, but you know, there's the one where the transporters puts Kirk into the nice guy and the evil one. That got great reviews in the trades. I mean, your performances, you know, you and Leonard especially, your performances were highly praised because of that episode alone. Then there's the episode in the second season when the Kirk is aging very quickly. And you know, and then there's of course Turnabout Intruder, where a woman is in the body of Kirk. So you know, those must have been like scripts that you get where you go, I got this.
Well, no, you never say I got this. I tell you, I did say I got this. I made a movie this 3 or 4 months ago called Senior Moment, and I was playing the love interest. I was playing the lead in a movie. I had time to think about what I was doing, and I began to understand. I thought, God, I'm finally understanding how to perform, how to act. I like these things are coming to me. Like I've been a horseman for 30 or 40 years, and with understanding the spirit of the horse, I've become a better horseman. I'm thinking, oh, that's what you do. Oh, this is what being a horse. Oh, this is what acting is. After all these years, I'm kind of discovering more and more of what it is, and I had an opportunity in Senior Moment to discover more about acting. If I knew now, if what I know now I could have known back then, I'd have done it better. And I look at some of the earlier work and I think, Lord, I wish, but life is a process of learning, isn't it? Is life a process of learning?
Always.
Well then, when you die, do you finally know and then you're dead?
You won't know.
No, you say, oh, that's...
If you stop learning, you stop living. Don't you think that that's...
If you stop learning, you stop living, right. But what's the word for the opposite? No, the what? Don't you know English? the opposite, but there's a word. The comp. I'm losing it. The corollary. That's the word I was looking for. The corollary of all that is you don't know anything. You live. I don't know. I hate to keep it a secret, will you? I don't know anything. Do you feel that way? Like you go through life and, 2 and 2, and you know a little bit about politics, but you don't really know anything. Nobody knows anything. Do you know that?
But Bill,
I've talked to astrophysicists. They're all guessing.
You knew enough to turn death into a fighting chance to live. I have a photograph of all I'm just going to say.
I am so, I gotta use the word afraid, but wary of death. Like, I think it was George Burns who said, I can't die, I'm booked.
You are booked.
And I'm booked.
But here's what the other question I want to ask you. The 60s was such a great time for television. The transition from black and white to color, and the colors, when you watch Star Trek, they really pop. The primary colors with the shirts and the sets. But what I love about that period of time is Desilu Studios, your boss at Desilu, like the boss at Desilu, the world's most famous redhead, who championed Star Trek, was Lucille Ball. And did you come down to the set?
No, I never met her. She championed us. I think I met her in the cafeteria one time. I think, this is how do you do? I mean, it was her studio. Can you imagine? She and Desi had this Desilu studio. They had this beautiful redhead who had this incredible flair for comedy that nobody knew about when she first started. Because I remember seeing her in musicals, like part of the chorus in musicals. And you got to know that one of these girls in the green, they're going to be a big star one day. And she'll say, I was on stage in green makeup.
William Shatner.
Well, I don't know, with you, Scott Mans, but you never knew her, never met her. although I might have brushed her shoulder in the cafeteria. We were both reaching for the coconut pie.
During the first season, okay, so Roddenberry, you had the talk, you know, the first season is going along. Gene Roddenberry's the day-to-day producer of the show. It's his show, he created it. And then there's a transition from one Gene to another, a Gene who is an unsung hero.
A recessive Gene.
Gene Coon. Funny guy.
Yeah, it makes a nice joke, but he was a Marine colonel or something, captain. Gene Coon. And he set the style, the laconic English style with yes and no, yes and minimal words, and not being effusive, but being efficient.
But how did his sort of style, working with him as a day-to-day producer, different?
He was terrific. He was, you know, I'm reminded of McMaster in the White House. He was a Marine. Yes, sir. No, sir. That's the way the military work. And do your job and get going. And if I say to Sulu, turn left, you turn left. No, turn right.
Starboard port. Starboard to port. Okay.
I can never remember which is starboard and which is.
I think port is left, right? Because and starboard's the right, and then it's bow.
That's what went wrong.
Before we open up to audience questions, I want to ask you, having followed your career from when I was a little kid, watching T.J. Oker, watching Rescue 911, watching your transformation on it's a more comedic roles with Priceline commercials, Third Rock from the Sun, and then what did it mean to you? You were at the Emmys, and you hear your name as the winner for your role as Denny Crane.
I was nominated. I love the way everybody's nominated with 5 wonderful actors. It was an honor just to be, forget about it. You want to win. I want to win. Say my name. So I'm watching the guy on a big screen, okay? I'm seated at a table, wife, family, other people, and I'm looking at it, and I've zeroed in. I have great focus, okay? I've got great focus. So I'm zeroed in on his mouth. If he says, whoop, just all I need is a whoop. Give me a whoop. And you know what he does? Whoop. Yes, it's a whoop. Yes, I was all right.
Beauty is, you know, the role of Denny Crane on The Practice was a recurring role, but then on Boston Legal, where you are a series regular, boom, you win again. Where do you keep your Emmys?
I carry them around. There one here, nominations here. At least you can see me coming. I don't get hit by cars when I cross the street. They're on a mantelpiece. I often think if there was an earthquake and it would shake and they would fall.
So you keep them low on the mantelpiece, they don't fall too far.
Right. They're tied in. Concrete makes a great base. No, they're just on a mantelpiece.
First question. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Zing. Finally meet you. I'm so nervous.
Wait a minute, what's your name?
Zing.
Zink?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I called Shatner. So, and you are my favorite author too, besides my favorite actor.
Wow.
Yeah, I almost finished all of your nonfiction books.
Why don't you finish them?
Still in the spirit of the horse are some pages left, but
Good.
I will finish. Yeah. So I'm so fascinated by your rich for a lifetime experience. And sometimes you said that Kirk is perfect or better version of you, but I think you're much more than Kirk. Just like you said in that.
Do you have a question?
Much more. And I like to think about how you evolved from in the past, that beautiful and unbelievably naive yourself, to today, this wiseful and inspirational man. So my question
Wow, you almost make me weep. Thank you so much.
So my question is, if you can go back in time to say that younger self you, especially in your 20s, when you're still struggling to pay bills, if you can meet that self of you, what would you say to him?
Well, that's, to delve really deeply into that. When I said earlier, I don't know anything, I really mean it. I've lived all these years, and I wish I could sum up, well, this is what the truth is. There's no truth. There is, in fact, life goes on and then it ends. And there's nothing you can do about it. And you can struggle on one plane. You can struggle to try and perfect yourself and do better at what your work is, or try and lead a full life so you're giving as well as taking. You can do all those things. But in the end, the sweep of history takes you. The life takes you on its own floodplains, and you don't really have any control. So relax, enjoy the journey, because the ending you don't want to get to. You don't want to arrive at the final place. So keep your head above the water and look around you and realize you're surviving, and it's going to be all right no matter what happens. It's going to be all right. That's what I would say to my...
Thank you for the question. Let's turn to this side. Have hands over here, ask questions too.
Hello, Mr. Shatner.
Good afternoon.
You may not remember me, but I do remember you, sir. I am Patrick James Tiberius Kirk. Real name, born and raised. And I've always wanted to ask you, it's a bit of a two-part question. One, between the characters of James Bond and Captain Kirk, who's better with the ladies? And the second part is, if you had your choice between all of the Kirk girls in Star Trek canon, who would you want to be romantically involved with?
You seem somewhat obsessed by the ladies. I am too, actually. It's a silly question. You know what? Since you carry James Kirk's name, why don't you change it? It's a stupid question, actually. That's silly. I mean, the girls, I don't even remember them. It's been so many years. They're beautiful. They were wonderful. I think a beautiful human being inside and out is something to be worshipped. I love beauty. I love men, women. I love beauty. And you, look at you. You're a handsome man. Why don't you ask me a real question?
What would you say is the most significant performance that you've ever given in your entire life?
There you go. Okay. Thank you, Jim. And my answer to you is that was no, I was going to be flip and say that was my greatest performance. I don't think in terms of great performances. What I have tried to do, to one degree of success or another, is to try and hit the pure moment, the purity of the moment. If you could be in, as an actor now I'm talking about, not as a human being, but that's obviously just as important. If I can be in the moment, I'm not fearful, of answering a question from the audience, because I've learned to be entirely myself. If I make a Freudian, it used to be when I come out in front of thousands of people, especially in the early years, I'd be afraid of making a Freudian slip. What if I say, you know, I use a curse word, you know, that thing, and it would slip out and people would go, oh, geez, he swears. I've learned to relax about it and be in the moment, so that if I can hit the moment that is required of me as an actor, the dialogue, the emotion, whatever it is that I'm supposed to do as the character, so that the character has a filter that would say no or yes differently than Shatner would. How would that character say no or yes? And given the circumstances of saying no or yes, how would he say it? Would it be emphatic? Would it be retiring? Can I hit the purity of that moment and then thread all those pure moments together as a performance? Sometimes you hit the purity of the moment, sometimes you act it, just like in life. Sometimes you really mean what you say, and then you're saying the same thing sometimes later, and you don't mean it quite as much. That's what an actor goes through. He just performs. I can do it, but what if I do it with such reality, with such internal truth, that you, the audience, see that and are grabbed by it? That's what I try to do from moment to moment. And when I hit it, I hit it. When I don't, I fake it, which is pretty good, not as good as really hitting it.
Back here. What is your name? What is it? Leaf. Leaf. Okay, you've been asking the question every single time. It's good to know.
Did you hear him say leaf? Really?
Leaf.
Did you say leaf?
That's what I said.
What is your question, Leaf?
Mr. Shatner, I thought it was a real shame that you didn't get to appear in the 2009 J.J. Abrams Star Trek film.
I did too.
We all did.
They did nonetheless have a scene prepared for you that would have taken place.
How do you know that?
It's a very reliable source, sir. And
A reliable source. That's fake news. No, seriously, Lee, I've heard that story, but it's never been in my consciousness. I'm not aware of that at all.
is it okay if I describe the scene to
Please.
what you're...
Yeah.
No, it's fake news.
Say no. Why don't we want to?
Because it's fake news.
Why is she asleep?
Busted! You were busted by William Shatner. How do you feel? You were in the front row and you fell asleep. It's my fault. If it ain't on the page,
What? It was ain't on the page?
it ain't on the stage.
It ain't on the stage. Go ahead. Well, I don't understand why you would not want to hear the scene.
Let's hear it. In a nutshell, Leaf, what's the scene?
Okay, it's the old Spock, played by Nimoy, handing a hollow emitter to young Spock, played by Zachary Quinto. Then old Spock leaves. Zachary Quinto turns on the hollow emitter, and it's you playing Kirk with a pre-recorded message for Spock, just singing happy birthday, congratulating him on his ambassadorship, and then saying, I miss you, old friend. And there's about 10 more lines where you talk about your friendship going into your emeritus years together, and then, just saying, we remember when we used to be boys.
That's the stupidest scene I've ever heard. When I saw Leonard in the first movie that JJ made, and he went back in time, he was back in time, I said to Leonard, you're old when you go back in time, and you're still old. Those are gratuitous scenes. I want to play something, but you see, the question is, how do you put this 50-year-old older captain into that thing. But now I'll tell you how.
CGI.
Next week, I'm going to do a big thing with virtual reality. I'm doing a big thing. We're going to make an announcement, but I'm just, maybe I'm blowing the thing out of the water. I'm going to be doing something with virtual reality that's going to be stunning, and it's new, and nobody's done it yet. Okay? That's how I could appear in a Star Trek movie.
Oh, by the way, wait a minute. You know what? Now is a perfect time to tell everyone about our thing.
What's our thing?
Our thing that we did.
I didn't know we had a thing.
We have a thing.
You are pretty. Look at the gray hair.
So, this coming September, Fathom Events.
Fathom Events. 600 theaters across the
Like
country?
800 theaters across the country.
Now 800.
800 theaters.
Wow.
Is re-releasing in theaters on September 10th and September 13th. They are showing on the big screen Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Wait for it. Which, as we all know, is the Citizen Kane of Star Trek movies. Preceding...
I thought 5 was.
Five is the It's a Wonderful Life of Star Trek.
That was really good.
So, before they show The Wrath of Khan, it is going to be preceded by an interview with you, exclusive interview, talking only about The Wrath of Khan, and conducting the interview is this guy.
And you conducted beautifully. Very much like...
An orchestra.
I was going to... Give me a conductor's name. What's the name of the guy?
Beethoven.
No, the guy who just doing the Philharmonic here. No.
Ron Jones.
No. The South American name.
In the microphone. Microphone is not working.
Dudamel. Well, there goes that joke.
Okay.
You conducted like Pavel Dudamel.
That was a mic drop moment, and so is this one. Let's go back here. Next question.
Oh.
Hi, lifelong fan, very first convention. It is a thrill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you enjoying yourself?
Oh, it's amazing. It's so much fun.
Great.
A lot of fond memories, especially watching Star Trek with my dad and just going over all the movies and everything. My question is that obviously as an actor you contribute a lot to the development of Star Trek. You can control kind of your character. Is there a moment where you're able to give like a suggestion to the writers or to the director where it was able to change the entire story that you're very proud of?
Oh, I can't remember, but I was always suggesting something. Like that they should leave the room or something like that. As an actor, and I think I know what I'm doing, and I'm not making facetious or extraneous suggestions. I'm doing. I've got a concept, and I'm trying to follow it. Yes, I've affected. I don't know specifically nor what I want to point to it, but I also write, and I have a sense of drama, and so I'm able to suggest maybe we should do this or do it that way, or maybe the scene should be changed, or and at least they'll listen and maybe not do it, but listen to the idea, and I'm constantly doing that. Trying to perfect something, and that's what I'm after, the perfection of something, and not adamantly so, but here's what I think, maybe this would work.
Thank you for the question. Next question, what is your name, and what is your question?
My name is Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, how are you?
Rob.
Is that a B?
B, as in Robert. But it's a wonderful honor being here. I've been going to conventions since I was 18, and now 48, so 30 years, and I've enjoyed every experience seeing you, Mr. Shatner. I saw you on your Vegas show a couple years ago, and it was wonderful. I had tears to my eyes when you talked about your horse and that you had. Anyway,
don't stop.
Okay, it was a wonderful show, and I was so happy to be there watching you. But so over the 30 years plus the 51 years, right? It's a unique phenomenon, Star Trek. Obviously, we all know that, and we've had this. All of us have had this unique opportunity to continuously delve and deeper into Star Trek and the supply chain of what the revenue that comes in from the audience and what the studios provide. And anyway, your documentaries. I'm being told to hurry up. I love your documentaries. But sometimes we peel the onion back a little too far. And I wanted to ask a serious question for the first time.
Please.
Chaos on the Bridge. There was a lot of insight there to Roddenberry, and we all love and respect Roddenberry. Do you feel that, sometimes because of this opportunity and pressure to continue to delve into everything Star Trek, was there anything in there that you had any regrets? Let's say that came out, not that you said, but that other people had said about Roddenberry that maybe made you take a pause thinking about, was this a good
So you're asking in the publicity, if you will, in the conversations about Roddenberry, is there anything that I or people regret saying about
that producing it? Maybe, yes.
All right. So the
tarnishes image.
The answer to that, Rob, is this. We all hold a mask. To nature, right? We hold a variety of masks when we talk to people, a mask for that person. We're all slightly different according to the person we're talking to or about. And thrust into somebody's thrust into somebody's company hour after hour, day after day, the masks gradually drop. Over a period of time, and depending on how neurotic you are, it comes off quickly or stays there for a while. You get to know somebody, and then you begin to know the real person. The mask drops. And now you either marry them or you run. So over a period of 3 years, people slowly become themselves. And in 3 years, change. In order to be absolutely truthful about what masks were drawn, it's not quite fair. So it's better for the larger audience to know that Gene Roddenberry was a very productive, creative guy whose creativity founded the basis of Star Trek. And what happened subsequently to that, and the various things over 3 years of 12 hours a day, 9, 10 months out of a year that would be revealed, it's some of the dirt, some of the dust under the carpet is shown, but there's no need for it like right now. So Gene Roddenberry, to name one, was beautiful. He had the intention, the drive, and the perception to put us all together and make what we're doing here 51 years later.
Thank you for the question, Rob. I have a question. I have read.
You wanted to say written.
I wanted to say written.
Why?
Because I could have written.
There's the Freudian slip that I've been talking about. So you said, I read, but you wanted to have written what you read, right?
Because I wanted to say that I had written a Star Trek book, which I have not, but you have written many books about the making of the show.
Making of and fiction of how I would have portrayed
Kirk.
Captain Kirk if he had been allowed to live.
But here's the thing, so Star Trek memories and Star Trek movie memories. Okay?
Why are we laughing? Allowed to live?
Allowed to live. The choice of words is what got everybody. But so Star Trek memories, Star Trek movie memories. But then I think it was in 2008, you did a wonderful book about your life called Up Till Now, which is a must-read for everyone in this room. And then a couple years later, you wrote a book called Shatner's World, which some more stories that didn't fit into Up Till Now. One of the stories that really stuck with me, and it was one that stuck with you because you told the story, is about the cab driver, the Vietnam veteran. Can you share that story? Because I think that's important.
As an actor, performing 3 years in a series that was so well written, and I was so delighted to be in it, and so sad when it was over, that was my feeling. And as an actor of many years, even then, these are gigs. You go up on stage this afternoon, perform, and then when it's over this afternoon, it's gone. It never happened. It'll remain in your mind, maybe through dinner, maybe hopefully tomorrow, but then it's gone, along with your dinner. But some experiences can't be flushed away. And this was one of them. I was being called to go to some location. And they send a limo, and it's all very glamorous, and you get into the limo, and I'm in a limo. I never forget that feeling. I'm in a limo. And we drive 15 feet, and the guy stops. Now, I'm young, trained to kill. I'm wondering, is he going to come after me? What's he doing? He turns around and looks straight at me. And he said, I need to talk to you. How do I get out of here? He says, I need to talk to you. I want to tell you something. I want to tell you how you saved my life. What are you talking about? He said, I was a Vietnam veteran. Like McCain, I was put in those cages, up to water, here, tortured, never let out of the water, barely fed. We were dying in there. The only thing that kept us alive, he said, we played the Star Trek game. What's the Star Trek game? All of us knew the dialogue to all of the episodes. And we would sing, we would play the episode up to water in our neck, trying to stay alive. Trying to stay alive, we played the Star Trek game. And I want to thank you. Well, both of us are weeping, crying, tears. He turns around and drives. I don't know where we went, but that moment stayed in my memory and will forever. That's Star Trek.
Star Trek saved lives. Star Trek inspired people to make the world a better place. Star Trek brought us all together. Star Trek changed lives. On behalf of everyone in this room, I want to say, I feel young. Thank you, William Shatner.